announcement that Fred Smith helped me remember to make is that we are video recording these talks, and we have last year's talks recorded in archive. And so if you go to the fallfocus.org, or you can link to it on our website. Now the computer's slow. If you go to fallfocus.org, there's a tab here that says archive. If you click on that, you can view the videos from last year. And we'll also post these videos from today. They should be up this week, right, Kathy? And we'll also link to them to our homepage. So,
We also have the PowerPoints available.
yes, we'll have the PowerPoints, and the PowerPoints are available from last year. Well, I think Kathy's going to do it this week. Yeah? They're great. Back to work. I'm still learning. I'm a reproductive biologist. I'm learning to stand over reading.
I'd like to introduce our final speaker of the day. So this is your last opportunity to learn from the experts. This is Dr. Alex White. He's from Virginia Tech. He's an adjunct professor in the dairy science department. He also operates A. White Enterprises, which is a consulting and speaking firm. And he's also a financial management consultant with Verity Asset Management. So Alex is a really busy guy. He specializes in financial management. So he'd like to speak with you about keeping and cutting decisions for a successful capital operation. So here's Alex.
All right, thank you very much, Lauren. Well, folks, hello from the East Coast, if you're not from this area. How many Marylanders do we have in here? Not too, man. I grew up in the great town of Jarrettsville, Maryland, about 2.5 hours east of here, or southeast of here. Just found my way down to Virginia Tech, where I studied agricultural economics. Wasn't smart enough to get into the engineering school, so I was there trying to do economic stuff. Got into that and really enjoyed it, and I've been working in that field ever since. I've spent about 25 years at Virginia Tech, basically teaching the ag business or financial planning type courses for college, and I just really enjoy doing that. It hasn't been had a bit of an extension appointment, so I got to work with individuals pretty much the Mid-Atlantic, and I go out to the Pacific Northwest as well. So I'm out there in Spokane pretty much every year, and a little bit in the heartland out in Indianapolis. But they asked me to come talk to you today about keep call decision. So here we go. Here's the finance guy talking to you about keep call. What do we need to know? Well, I'm going to bring that somebody into the herd there. She's got to have three things. She's got to be productive, she has to be functional, and she has to have the good genetics. Okay? You got to be able to get her pregnant. She's got to be able to walk, see, eat, get around, and then she's got to have the genetics trying to lead into the future. Okay? They're going to lead the industry or meet the standards out there. And guess what? You know this stuff already. Blah, blah, blah. Okay? Let's bring the good tempers in, get rid of the bad ones. So, tell me something I don't know, Al. Here we go. I'd rather tell you something that you need to hear, you probably don't want to hear, and it's going to ruffle some feathers here this afternoon. But what the heck, we'll give it a shot, okay? I'm going to give a talk and then bug out of here so you can't yell at me. So, let's start over. Keep call decisions for a successful operation, and I probably left the word family operation out of there, okay? Rather than having some cows on the front, we have a family. So let's start talking here a little bit. See if any of this sounds familiar. Mom and Dad have been a successful operation, been farming for several years. Maybe they're the second generation, maybe the third generation. It's an aging operation. Okay, they need some upgrade out there. They've got some children out there. We need to see what's going to happen. They got 3 kids. Okay, so we got Luke, Bo, and Daisy. One of them's interested in coming back to the farm. It's all he's ever wanted to do, or she's ever wanted to do. One of them has absolutely no interest in the farm, and the other one has no clue what he or she wants to do. Sound familiar? Okay, so let's see if we can add on to this. Is this going to be a successful family operation? Probably not. We're going to have some issues there. You should start to see some little things popping up here. We got some issues. How about this one? One of them's married to somebody, and that somebody wants to be very an active part of the operation. What is that somebody known as? The in-law. The darn in-law, okay? So we've got the darn in-law wants to be farmed, or how about this? The in-law wants nothing to do with the operation, hates the operation, doesn't like agriculture, wants to live in the big city, and that person happens to be married to the one who's most capable of taking over their operation. How are we feeling right now? No? Okay. How about this one? Let's make the nightmare stop. Mom and Dad love each child the same. Okay? All my kids, I want to treat them equal. So the will says what? I, Dept, we're going to split everything into 3 equal shares. What have we just done to the farm? We have killed the farm. Okay? Yikes, it's just not going to happen. Or worse yet, Mom and Dad die without a will. And in most places, what's going to happen to the estate? It's going to be split 3 ways. And what have we done to the farm? We've killed it. Okay? So this is not a successful family operation we got going. Let's make it a little worse. One of the child is a clone of Dad or Mom, whoever the main operator is. One of them is the exact opposite. Okay? One of them is the best and brightest. They're married to that in-law. And the in-law and Mom or Dad, it's like oil and water. They just don't get along. How are we feeling right now? Not good. Talking about keep call decisions. Who do we need to keep and who do we need to call here? Okay? So, it can't get any worse from here. One of the children feels entitled to be the manager and owner of the operation because he or she's lived there, she's worked there, she's put everything into it. The others, they don't know what they're doing. Okay? I deserve it. Maybe I'm the oldest. Okay? It's my right. Uh-oh, we've got some entitlement things going on here. What about this one? Of the kids, the one child comes back on the farm, the other 2 decide they don't want anything to do with it. Mom and Dad and the farm child, they get along great. Farm child does what he or she is told. Mom and Dad make the orders, make decisions out there. They don't really show the child the books because you can't show them the finances. Just can't do that. Okay? Big mistake. Well, guess what? Now something happens to Mom and Dad. And who is now interested in the farm? The non-farm kids. What are they seeing? Dollar signs. Okay? How much equity has the on-farm child built up in the farm? Probably very little. What has that person been? Hired labor. Okay? Now then, how fair is it to split the farm 3 ways when the one child has been there maintaining and leading in the future, and the others are just saying, hey, I want my share? Folks, we got issues out there. But you're saying, you know what, we're a family. We can get through this. We're family. We're strong. Well, here we go. 30% of American family businesses, this is all family business, not just agriculture, only 30% make it to the 2nd generation. Only 12% make it to the 3rd, only 3 make it to the 4th. Okay? How many are 2nd, 3rd, 4th generation farms in here? Any 3rd, any 4ths? The 4ths? You guys are lovingly referred to as standard deviants. Congratulations. You must be doing something right. So, when are we going to get there? I don't know. The 3 main reasons these farms don't transfer, you know what I hear? Well, you know what? We just don't have the money. We need to expand, I need new facilities. If we're going to bring somebody else into the operation, we need to get bigger. We don't have the money. Why don't we have money? We haven't been planning for it. Okay? Another reason we get to this one, that's poor market conditions. What do you folks think about poor market conditions in the beef industry here the last couple of years? Not good. Yeah, this year was pretty darn good in the beef industry here. But we'll say, you know, oh, we don't have the market. People aren't buying. Oh, prices are too high or too low. Beef prices up. Blame on the market. How about this one? Oh, that's just bad luck. Something bad happened. I'm a believer you make your own luck and plan to try and minimize those bad issues out there. Those are the 3 main reasons I hear people saying why their farm and why their family business didn't go into the next generation. More likely it's because they didn't do any planning. Okay? Most likely they didn't talk. Oh, we're families, we have great communication. This is where a lot of laughter is supposed to come out of. Okay? Great families or great family communication? No, those words don't go together. So let's talk about it, okay? It's going to take a little bit of a transition planning model out there. And when it comes to transferring that farm from one generation to the next, there's 4 main options. Number 1, we can keep the farm in the family. We own the farm. Whether we're farming it or we're leasing it out to somebody, we own the farm. For some folks, that's the best we can do. Option number 2, we can keep the family in farming. Which means we're bringing them in, we're setting them up for success so the family business can grow and succeed into the future. Here's what we see too often. We chain the family to the farm. It's not capable of supporting everybody. It doesn't have good soil, doesn't have good marks, doesn't have good infrastructure in the area, and we just can't make this thing work. But we can't sell the farm, why not? It's a family farm, it's a family soil, I've been in for generations, we can't sell it. Well, but if we sold it and moved to a place that had better resources, and the family's more successful. We've got to be a little bit more open-minded out there for those types of things. And then the last thing we can do is we can sell the farm. Okay, take the money and run, go to better resources out there. We have better soil, better pastures, better water, better infrastructure. Or we're going to sell the farm for sale. Why? Because the kids can't get along. Okay, the off-farm kids, the on-farm kids, they're having some issues out there. So it's a very emotional issue talking about bringing in the next generation. Why? Because the older generation is looking at giving up some control. Whose business is it after all? There, they built it. They don't want to give up the control. They don't want to take a lot of risk. What's the younger generation want? They want to expand. They want to try some new things out there that might be great for the operation, but they might be a little bit risky. They might mean a little bit more debt, which increases your financial risk. So folks, we've got a lot of emotions going on here. And again, it's just that lack of communication that really gets us. So what do we have there? Seniors being less involved. When my dad retired, he was a medical doctor. When he retired, he was a general practitioner. People come into him, cough and hack and sneeze, doc, what's wrong with me? He'd diagnose and tell them. After he retired, he didn't have anybody to diagnose. So what did he diagnose? Everything I did. Dad wanted to be more involved. Al, I think you can mow the lawn faster if you go this way instead of that. Dad, doing this, I think we can figure it out. It's 5 minutes to I think with your feet, you ought to do this. And calm. So it gets to be a little bit of an issue from that standpoint. Junior, they want to come in, they want to do some stuff, but they get frustrated because the older generation doesn't listen as far as they're concerned. Their ideas aren't being taken seriously because they're the college kids. They're the younger generation. They don't know what they're doing. There's a patience issue out there. There's a communication gap. And when do people really get excited about farm transition planning? When it's too late. After someone, whether it's in the family or maybe a neighbor, has died or had a massive disability, and then the person can't, boy, we better start planning to take care of this. And then you get home that evening, you do what? Go check cows, gotta check fence, gotta get out there and do something, okay? And it gets put off until it's too late. Okay? Just from an emotional standpoint, this is my Uncle John, buried about an hour east of here, over Phoenixville. And if you look at him, Uncle John almost made it to his 6th birthday. Died in a house fire. Okay? If you look closely right there, you'll see some crown. We have a little service for him because basically he was an unmarked grave there for all those years. We have a little service for him. And my aunt, the day of the fire, would not let John play with her crowns. John asked, "Can I play the crowns?" No. Guess what? She never got a chance to say yeah. She carried that around for 80 years. What an impact did that have on her life? What happened to the impact that had on the decisions she had to make? It made things a lot tougher. Folks, start communication now, okay? Talk now. What's the expression? It's better to pass things with a warm hand than a cold hand, okay? So do it while you're alive. It's a lot easier out there. Like that. Okay, so let's talk about keep call decisions with the family. I apologize to you. I'm going to refer to the younger generations as my replacements. I'm going to refer to the older generations as my old cows, okay? So please don't hate me for that. But let's think about this one. When we're bringing replacements into our family operation, we have the 3 main things. Production. Can we get a bring it? Okay? Well, for bringing somebody in, that's not what I'm talking about. Do they have the On the production side, do they have the production knowledge to lead us into the future? On the function side, do they have the abilities to get the job done? And on the genetic side, do they have the ability to think, the ability to learn, the ability to listen, the ability to teach? Do they have the work ethic, the honesty? Can they handle the business side, not just the production side? So we need to take this into account when we're bringing that next generation in. Actually, that older generation, they need to be on the way out if they can't manage these things as well. Okay, so there we go. We just talked about all that stuff. So here we go. Let's talk about your replacement. You're going to bring somebody onto your farm operation. If this is a full-time farm or full-time job for them, they need to be able to generate $250,000 in gross revenue. That number again, $250,000. You're saying, Alice, you must be on drugs or something. There's no way we can do that. Well, guess what? It takes about 80 cents of a dollar of sales, or excuse me, your variable cost, fixed cost, about 80 cents for every dollar of sales in agriculture. So that means you're left with 20 cents to pay your income tax and living expenses. So this is going to leave you with about a $50,000 family living expense before taxes. Wow, generate $250,000. That's roughly 300 cows in today's market. If you're going to bring somebody on the farm and you're going to increase your herd size by 25 cows, it ain't counting. They're not generating enough. What's going to happen to cash flow of the operation? It's going to be stretched really, really tight. Okay? You're saying, I don't need 50,000, I need 30,000. Okay, 30,000. New math says you need to be able to generate about $150,000 in gross, so about 150 cows. Okay? A little bit more than that. It's going to be a full-time operation. They need to support themselves, and we need to be able to make this happen. So $250,000 per operator is a good rule to think about. This is going to provide a $50,000 pre-tax living income for that operator. Okay? And there we go. Like I say, it costs about 80 cents to generate a dollar of sales in agriculture. Feed is 70% of your costs in the livestock operation. Vet, labor, repairs, marketing, hauling, all that kind of stuff. Okay? Now then, what do we need to do with the folks we're bringing in, the younger generation? Let's ship them out to a custom heifer operation, custom heifer raising. Let's get rid of them. The best thing you can do with your kids, the next generation, send them away for 3 to 5 years. Okay? Let them learn on somebody else's property. Let them learn on somebody else's nickel. Let them learn better operating procedures and techniques than you're doing now, or just different ones. They'll bring the good stuff back. They'll see different levels of communication, different levels of management. And guess what? That's going to make them better individuals. Okay? They'll see whole new range of agriculture. They'll make new contacts out there. So when they do come back, now they're more likely to be able to hook you up from a marketing standpoint or supply standpoint. So we need to be able to send them away for a while, let them learn, let them grow, let them get some confidence. When they come back to the operation, they've succeeded somewhere else. And if you have hired labor, now not just the son or daughter who's come back, there's somebody who's proven themselves out in the real world. Okay? So think about having a custom heifer raising, send them away for a while. What does that mean? You might need to hire somebody to take their responsibilities while they're gone. Well, you might bring in somebody that's better. Oh, somebody has different ideas or newer, better ways to do things. Now what you might see is you're going to improve your operation by bringing in some outside ones. Okay? So have a custom heifer raising operation there, send them away for a bit, get some experience. Next thing, quarantine when they come back. Boy, I have to work hard on this one, let me tell you. What we need to do is think when they come back, don't throw them in with the wolves. Don't throw them, okay, you're making all the decisions. Let's ease them into it. Have them responsible for a couple of sections of the operation. Maybe it's pasture management, forage management, herd health, marketing, or something. Give them the responsibilities to handle that and give them the authority to make a decision. What do? Kind of looking over their shoulder a little bit and guide them. Be mentors for them so that they're making good decisions. They're learning, you're learning. Okay? So think about that one. Give them that responsibility. Older generation, this means you need to give up some control and some of your authority. And this is a big issue. Yeah, come back. We love you up to the farm as long as you listen to everything I say. No, you've got to share, you've got to mentor for this to move into the future. Okay? Next thing, have a timeline. Set up a timeline for when that next generation is going to take management or take a percentage of ownership or have management responsibility so everybody's on the same page. Write this down so everybody can know and have that. The younger generation, they're going to be impatient. They want to get things done. The older generation, they're going to be a little slow to give up control. Let's have it phased over time so everybody's a little bit happier. Okay? Next thing we need to think about, got a heifer calf out there. To get her productive into the herd, it takes time, doesn't it? It takes a little bit of nurturing. It takes feed, it takes health care, it takes a trainer, and so on. It's going to take a while. To bring the next generation of management and ownership into your operation, it takes the same thing. It's not going to happen overnight. It's something that's going to take a while. Okay? So there we go. Send them away for a while. Give them a little bit of responsibility when they come back. Set a timeline so everybody knows what the recommendation, or what the planned time frame is, and then realize you've got to bring them in. Okay, we've got to nurture them as we go. How about that Generation Y? Okay. I'm on a college campus, see that every day. So, what about the non-productive family members? We got the son or daughter that doesn't have the work ethic, a little bit lazy, feels a little bit entitled. They just don't know what they're doing. They're kind of lost at the moment. Well, what do? We try and avoid this by let's send them away. Okay? Let somebody else train them. Knock the rough edges off. Let's give them that probation, that quarantine period when they get back. Let's set up the time frames. Let's teach and mentor and coach them to make sure that we're setting them up for success. Okay? Well, we haven't done that. So what do we do? Oh, it's too late for that stuff. This is where the open and honest communication has to come in. This is where you've got to say, this is a business. It's not just a family, it's a business. If the business goes down, the family's in trouble. We need to treat it like a business. We need to understand that everybody needs to pull their own weight. You need to generate $250,000 of gross income to support yourself and your family. Okay, I need to do the same with myself and my family. We need to set these up. We need to set benchmarks. Okay, if you're in charge of the herd, we need to have a meeting percentage of this, or this many pounds sold, or whatever it happens to be. So if they have benchmarks we can measure them against. And if they don't measure up, what do? Fire. Let's fire the son or the daughter or the uncle or somebody like that. Well, we need to, but it's a tough thing to do. Let's try and avoid this up front. Okay? So we need to do that. How about this one? We may need to hire somebody from outside the family to be the next generation of management. Little thing called heterosis. Okay? Let's bring in some new views, new opinions, new management techniques out there to instill some new life into our operation that our family can't because we've been inbreeding in the management side for how many generations. Okay? So we need to, hey, this thing actually works in the real world. So, all right, what do we do with the old cows? And again, please don't hate me. It's an example, an analogy here. Okay? What do we do with the old cows? Got to realize they have needs too. They have living needs, they have to have some income, but they also need to share. They need to coach, they need to mentor. Okay? They need to help that next generation succeed. They need to give up some management control if this is going to be successful into the future. There's a lot of stuff that has to go on there. You know what you have to do? This is a biggie down here at the bottom. You need to listen to the younger generation. If they've gone and worked somewhere else, if they've gone off to college or school and they've learned something, listen to what they have to say, weigh it out, do the pros and cons, see if it's a good decision, rather than just shutting them off and saying, no, we've always done it this way. Well, there might be better ways to do things out there. So you need to be patient, we need to listen out there, you need to be mentors, you need to be coaches, you need to be teachers out there. Don't just tell people what to do, show them why we do it. Okay? What are better ways or other ways to do this? How about this one? What if they're not productive? What if we can't get them old and pregnant? Well, still got to continue to, what if they are productive? What if they are productive? More power to you. Okay? Keep on keeping on. Roll on there, but start becoming more of a teacher, more of a mentor out there, and start sharing the operation and having a good time. If they're not productive, now we got too many hogs feeding in the same trough. Okay? We're not generating that $250,000 per operator. We've got, there's pulling salary. What's it do to cash flow? That really hurts the cash flow of the business. A friend of mine's a consultant. He just worked with a big farm out in the Pacific Northwest, and they figured out that the old Uncle Bill out there, he wasn't productive. His salary was something like $70,000 he was pulling out. When they looked at all the things he was costing the business, it was costing the business roughly $165,000 per year for a non-productive worker. Wow. What would you do if you had $165,000 extra? You invest in today, passive fund. You have a new tractor, we know what you have out there. But we need to think about that. If they're not productive, they're still drawing money from the farm, we've got a business problem. The big question is, how do you fire them? Okay? Sometimes you have to fire family members. You have to get them out of there. Can we do it? Okay? Think about this. If we keep them around, what's the impact on the management? Every time you give an order, the employees look at Uncle Bill or whoever that person is, and they don't go, that kid doesn't know what he's doing. Okay? Now you have morale issues out there. And who here likes working with negative people? It's just no fun, okay? If you have a negative situation, poison pill out there, this is really going to hurt you. It's going to hamstring you, and it's really going to make everyone miserable. You know what? Let's help them find a job somewhere else, okay? Let's get them off of there. So, here's some transition tips. Love that little saying. Plan A didn't work. Stay cool. There's still 26 other letters out there. So, here's the thing we need to do. A couple of tips. Number one, develop written job descriptions for everyone in your business, including yourself. What is it that you do? Oh, we don't need to do this. We're family. We all know. There's that family communication again. Let me give you a little horror story. Big poultry operation is operated by 3 brothers. They were the second, third generation management. Big storm came through, knocked down half of their poultry houses. Brother number 1 looked at brother number 2 and said, we're current on insurance, right? Brother number 2 looked at brother number 3 and said, you paid the insurance premium, right? Brother number 3 said, brother number 1, brother number 2, I thought you did that. Half of their poultry houses were knocked down. To put them back up, they had to pay out of pocket. Whose responsibility was it? Nobody knew. They needed written job descriptions. Okay? Why else need written job description? It lets everybody know who's responsible for what. It keeps things from slipping through the cracks. It reduces turf wars. You're responsible for the pasture, I'm responsible for the crop. Okay? Yes, I'll take your input, but final decision comes down to me. This is something that everyone needs to do, especially family operations. Okay? Can't stress that one enough. Next thing, have a written business plan. Written business plan talks about the production. Okay? What are you producing? How are you producing? What's your production techniques? We talk about the legal side. Are we a limited liability company, a C Corp, S Corp, sole proprietorship, partnership, whatever it happens to be? Okay? We talk about risk management. We talk about labor management. What's our hiring and firing policy? How do we share the products? We talk about the marketing. How are we going to sell our products? We talk about the finances. And by everybody seeing how the finances are affected by a production decision, people start to realize, oh yeah, we can't buy a new truck every year. Every 2 years, 3 years before we do this because of the cash flow pressure. So a written business plan, it's going to help you make better decisions. It's going to get everybody on the management team moving in the same direction. It's going to reduce some conflict out there. Do it once and bring us to every family meeting you have. Okay? Use this to make decisions down the road. This is a massive thing. We can also start the estate planning conversation here. Who wants to talk about estate planning? If I die, here's what I want to happen. Fun topic, okay? Several years ago, when Mom and Dad were both alive, I talk to people about estate planning and all that kind of stuff. Day after Christmas, cold day outside, lunchtime. Whole family's there. My mom, my dad, my brother, my sister's husband. Lull in the conversation, Alex says, so, is everybody's will and power of attorney up to date? That's the response I got. Nothing, okay? Everybody started looking at their plate and saying, oh, I got peas on this side, let's move them to this side. Dad looked outside, oh, it's going to snow this afternoon. Okay? I said, well, I tried. Got to chip away, my dad. Got to chip away all family. While we're doing dishes, Mom said, well, got to go to the lawyer and talk about something else. What questions should I be asking about this? Yes. Mom, come on, let's go talk. We went to the library, started talking. About a half hour later, Mom had 2 pages of notes. Things she wanted to talk about, things we needed they were important. Dad walked by. Dad was a big old boy. What are you guys doing? Dad, we're talking about estate planning. Well, you know, I've been meaning to ask you some questions. 4 hours later, we left the library. We talked to Mom and Dad about setting up or revising their wills, setting up powers of attorney and advanced medical directives, talking about their wishes and so on. It was the most productive meeting we had in years. And it just took, I had to chip away at it. Okay? This is a business plan. It's a great way to talk. Okay, guess what? Estate planning, if I die, here's what I want to happen. So everybody knows. Okay? A business plan is an extremely powerful management tool for you. Next thing, personality profiles. Who's been through a personality profile? Anybody? Myers-Briggs, True Colors. I like the DISC profile. Really powerful, really, it's dead on. This is something that's really going to help you with your communication skills inside the family. It's going to help you with your sales skills when you're talking to your potential buyers out there. It's going to help you with conflict resolution. You know that some people are big picture, don't like detail. If you're a detail person, how do you argue with them? How do you talk to them? Blah, blah, blah. Detail 1, 2, 3. Here's step 1, 2, 3. Do it in this order. Big picture people are saying, huh? I don't care. And there's a natural communication gap there. Folks, having someone sit down and help you with the personality profiles for yourself, your spouses, all your business partners, your main employees, it's going to really help the communication from top to bottom. This is one of the best things we ever did in class. We've been doing it for about 20 years down at Blacksburg. And it's just really fun to see why certain people act the way they do, why they react the way they do when you say something, how you best communicate. I look very strong. I throw that to the association. I think you make that mandatory, okay? Have personality profiles for everybody out there. So that's something that's really important. Anybody used this before? For a family situation? I would very strongly recommend it, okay? It's going to help you in so many different ways. Here's what they always tell me: Alex, you need professional help, buddy. But what we're talking about here is everybody needs some help out there. Get a management team, okay? You don't know everything there is to know about everything. Sorry. I don't know everything there is to know about everything. You need some help on the legal side. So when you're setting up your contracts, or you're setting up your estate planning, make sure things are done properly, titling the property, and so on. You need help on the accounting side. When do you like to do your accounting work? Answer is, you don't, okay? You want somebody else to do it, but let's have somebody who's competent, who understands agriculture, who understands your operation, rather than just working with somebody who works with a small business, okay? We need to have somebody from the financial field out there. This could be your lender, okay? Your lender can be a fantastic support person, a fantastic consultant for you, and they can look at it from a fresh set of eyes. Maybe you need a financial planner, somebody that works with taxes and estate planning and property planning to help pull all the different areas together. Let's get somebody from the production side, okay? Your veterinarian, your crop consultant, whoever it happens to be, somebody from the marketing side. What this can do is help you think through how one change you want to make is going to impact the rest of your operation. In agriculture, what do we love to do? Minimize our taxes. We don't want to pay any taxes. What have we just done to our Social Security benefits? We've minimized them. So one change, one decision here has flowed through a couple other parts of your operation. Your advisory team can help you think about this. Okay? Here's another thing. Here's a nice one for you. Have a regular family business meeting. Quarterly would be nice. You have to do it every week, every month, probably not. Quarterly, at least annually. Folks, here's some tips for you. Do it off-site. Because where do most of your family business meetings happen? Kitchen table at whose house? Mom and Dad. Who's got home field advantage? Mom and Dad. Okay, so you're already going in there. If you're the next generation, you're already fighting an uphill battle. So you've got that issue out there. So having an off-site, you know what? You can just sort of relax. Leave your cell phones off. Let somebody else run the operation for that time, so you can focus on the business at hand. Have an agenda and stick to it. And on that agenda, have 3 big things you want to talk about. Don't try and solve every problem or hit every topic in one meeting. You'll go crazy. Pick 2 or 3 of them and focus on them, and then come up with a nice structured plan to assess them. Have somebody take minutes. Why? So it's written down. Well, Warren, I remember that meeting clear as a bell. You said I could do this. You never said that, okay? Selective memory, selective recall, selective ignorance, whatever you want to call it. Folks, have somebody write it down so that everybody's on the same page. Helps with the communication. We didn't talk about your goals, okay? Why are you in business? Why is the family farm, the family business actually in business? Is it to produce cattle? Make money? A place to raise your family? Is it to feed America? Is it to take care of the environment? You need to really focus on that, and that's going to change your decision-making process. But everybody needs to have the same goals and moving in that same direction. We need to talk about transition. Dad, when can I start getting some help of my own? When can I start doing this? Dad, have you thought about doing this? Start the conversation, ease into it. Okay? Start talking about the estate plan. Okay? This is a nice place because everybody's there. Bring in a lawyer for that meeting. Okay? Talk to the estate planner, get some ideas. So focus on that one issue for the entire meeting. So we need to think about doing that. And next thing, leave your egos at the door. This is where families get into trouble. Okay? It's not bad intentions, it's egos and lack of communication is really going to stand in the way. So we need to break those barriers down. You need to walk in there with an open mind, and sometimes that's hard to do. But guess what? You need to do it if you're going to be successful over time. Okay? What else do we have there? A little bit on retirement planning. How many folks have a retirement plan? Hey, look at all the hands not up. Yes. You've got Social Security as your retirement plan. What have we been doing to our taxes every year? Minimizing them. What have we done to our Social Security benefits? We've minimized them. Dang, have it? Okay. Well, you know what? I've taken all the money, all the profits from my farm, and I've invested them somewhere. I put it back into the farm. Why? Because I understand it. I know it. I have control over it. Wonderful. How do you get money for retirement living needs out of your farm? Three main ways. Sell it, lease it to somebody, or you don't retire. Can't sell the farm, it's the family farm. Well, there's that possibility shot, okay? Folks, it's going to cost you a bundle to live during retirement. I just did a little time value money calculation for my students this morning. I said, let's calculate what it's going to cost for 1 year of out-of-state tuition for their kids. 25 years down the road, okay, current tuition, out-of-state tuition, Virginia Tech is about $35,000, okay, per year. 25 years down the road, it's going to cost over $213,000 for 1 year of college. Yikes. A $35,000 car is going to cost $200,000 in their retirement, okay, or excuse me, when their kids are in college, simply because of inflation. That's a lot of cows. Okay? We've got to raise a lot of meat in order to make this happen. We need to start planning now, okay? So that we can retire, so that we can transition the farm over a little bit more, or a little bit easier. If the older generation has some retirement planning or retirement funds set aside, now they can do it in a much more relaxed, controlled manner rather than having a fire sale. Mom and dad have money to live off of. They don't need to pull cash out of the operation. That frees up cash flow for the next generation to help the farm grow into the future. Okay? It's providing living income. It may be more profitable in some years than putting money back into the farm. Not true in livestock agriculture the last couple of years, but there were some pretty lean years before that, right? So this diversifies your portfolio, might reduce your risk, and give you a non-farm source of income, just in case, okay? You always have to have other set of income, stream of income. It's judgment proof. If you have money in a retirement account, nobody can get to it except your ex. The government can't really get to it, okay? Taxes or bankruptcy can't come after you, liability can't come after you. This is judgment-proof money, so it's relatively safe. It gives you tax advantages. Who in here hates to pay taxes? There should be a single hand up. Everyone should want to pay taxes. Why? Make money. Okay? Somebody said, I don't want to have to pay any taxes. I said, well, as a business consultant, I can make it so you never pay income taxes. Your eyes got real big. How do you do that? To lose money every year. You can do that until the equity runs out, and then you're sunk, okay? So you still want to pay some taxes out there with retirement plans. Guess what? They have tax benefits. Money you put into a traditional type retirement plan is tax deductible in the year you make it. That reduces your taxable income. You pay less taxes. That's pretty cool. Anything that account earns, as long as the money stays in there, you don't pay taxes on it as long as it stays in the account. So we're pushing off taxes into the future. You get one of these darn things called a Roth IRA. Now it's tax-free growth. For your kids, most of you can't beat that, okay? So there's some pretty neat things you can do out there from the state, or from a tax planning standpoint. No, I got some extra money at the end of the year. I'm going to buy a piece of equipment. Okay? Let's buy that piece of equipment. We're going to do what? We're going to write it off our tax. Section 179, we just saved ourselves taxes. Yay. What's that piece of equipment doing over time? Depreciating. So we're buying something that goes down in value, so we pay less taxes. And let's say we bought a couple of four-wheelers, because by God, that's going to help us check fence and feed cattle in the wintertime. Is that making us more profitable? No. Are we having more fun in the wintertime hunting season? Yes. Okay. What are those four-wheelers doing? They're depreciating. So we're spending money to save taxes, to buy something that's losing value, and it's reducing our return on assets. Or if you put that same money into a retirement account, get pretty much the same tax benefits, it grows tax deferred. That's pretty darn cool. Hopefully it's going up in value over time. So we need to think about this before we just go out of here and buy a piece of equipment. Okay? So what do you need? This is where I lose everybody. My younger folks in here, where's my FFAers? They're still here, they head out. Oh, I gave them an assignment, they boogied on me. But I'm glad to see them out here. That's great to see the future. But guess what? 25-year-old child or 25-year-old right now, they should shoot to have between $3 and $4 million in their retirement account the day they retire. Okay? Uh-oh, what just happened there? Can I do that? Okay? So you're saying, Alex, there's no way I can do that. Guess what? If you're 25 years old and you can put away about $25 a day, now until age 65, if it grows at 8%, that'll reach you $3 to $4 million. That's going to provide you with a $50,000 a year equivalent lifestyle, okay? We're accounting for inflation there for a 30-year retirement. That's not so bad, okay? Younger folks or older folks, yeah, you need to have a little bit of money set aside. 45-year-olds, $1.5 to $2 million. 55-year-olds, somewhere in the $1 to $1.5 million by the time you retire. Okay? You're saying, Alex, this is stupid. I don't need that much money. Well, this is taking into account we're paying all of your living expenses. We're not having to sell any of our land, our cattle, our equipment, and we have no other sources of income. So we're not taking a draw from the family farm. We don't have rental properties. This is our, remember, you're not going to get Social Security, okay? I'll just throw that one out there. So this is our sole source of income. Guess what? You have less money there, but you still are farming part-time, or you want to sell off the back 20 acres or something like that, you don't need as much. But you need to start planning now. The earlier you plan, the easier it is to get there. Okay? Quick little rule of thumb for you, a 17-year-old child, if they invest $1 a day from age 17 to age 65, that's $1 million. Let me quantify that one for you. They can cut their expenses by that much per day. One of these got $1 in the convenience store, maybe a little more. They can cut their expenses by that per day, that'll get them $1 million. What if they cut their expenses by 3 of those per day? That's going to get them close to what they need out there. So we need to think about retirement planning so that we're making better decisions. Okay? And again, like I said, the tax advantages there. Most of these are tax deductible. Okay, your traditional accounts are tax deductible. They are tax deferred as long as the money stays in the account. Just like buying land, okay? You're not taxed on the income from the land every year. Well, you are. On the value, you're not taxed until you sell that land, okay? Your capital gains. And then you got tax-free growth out there for your Roth investments. And Roth is a pretty nice thing, okay? It's lower risk because you can get your money out if you need it, and you can take the principal out at any point with no tax penalty, no income tax. It's already been taxed. You can do this with a traditional IRA or a simple or a SEP or some other type of retirement account. Then you're going to get taxed with income taxes and a 10% penalty for early withdrawal. So the Roth gives you a little bit more flexibility, but don't take money out of your retirement accounts unless it's for retirement. Okay? Here's some main farm-based retirement plans. Traditional IRA, as long as you have earned income, you can put up to $55,000 into the traditional IRA. Most of it is going to be tax deductible. There are income caps here, but it's going to be tax deductible. So you're going to reduce your income by $5,500. That saves you what, $1,200 in taxes per year. Okay, grows tax deferred is still the money as long as the money's in the account, and then when you pull the money out there in retirement, it's just taxed as ordinary income. You might get a lower tax bracket when you retire. Okay, you're not earning as much, don't have as much income, so we can push their taxes off so we're in a lower tax bracket. That makes nothing but financial sense. Okay, if you're over age 50, there's a $1,000 catch-up. You can put in $6,500 in. For retirement plans for the farm, for family businesses, there's 2 different types. You can do one or the other. You can't do both. One's a simple IRA. It's like one of those 401ks you hear all about. Okay, what's a 401k? Tax deferred. Okay, and where's most of the money come from? The employee.
But the employer
can match. Okay? But most of the money goes into a 401k from the employee's paycheck themselves. They voluntarily put the money in, reduces their taxable income, saves them income taxes this year, gets tax deferred growth in the future, and as the employer, you can match in there. What if your son or daughter is the employer? They're putting money in, you're matching, you're helping them go. What if it's a really good employee that you have and you want to keep around? Now we're putting money in to help retain them over time as well. Okay? So the simple IRA, it's like a 401k for small business. It's roughly $12,500 per person per year you can put into this. Okay? And then there's a $33,000 catch-up provision if you're over age 50. So there you can put another $15,500. You can also put money into the IRA if you don't hit the income cap limits. So that's almost $20,000 a year you can put in before taxes, reduce your taxable income, get tax deferred growth. That's better than buying a couple four-wheelers. Maybe not as much fun, but it's going to be a little bit better from a tax and financial standpoint. Another retirement plan is called a SEP, Simplified Employee Pension Plan. This one you can put a lot more money in. Problem is, if you have lots of employees, you got to put a lot of money in for each of them. Good side is, if all your employees are family, you're helping all your family members prepare for retirement. Okay? For this one, you can put up to roughly 20% of your net income. Okay? For your employees, it's up closer to 25% of their net income to a maximum of $53,000 before tax.
Wow.
And you put money into a traditional IRA as well, as long as you cover the earning gap out there. Folks, this is ways to prepare to help get tax advantages, to get a source of liquidity if you need it, and to help with the retirement and transition planning. Everyone needs to be doing this regardless of age. There's also one very similar called a solo 401k. You can get up close to this. This is for people who don't have employees, okay? So it's you and your spouse pretty much. In this case, you can put up, again, close to that $53,000. That's kind of cool stuff. So folks, here we go. Let's enter up here. Keep call decisions out there. Remember the business cycle, okay? The old school says, wonder, blunder, thunder, and under. Wonder when you get in the idea and say, yeah, I'm going to start this operation. This is going to be great. Then you get into the operation, you don't know what you're doing. You're blundered. You make some learn there's growing pains. Then when you learn what you're doing, you start to really earn. This is when you're in the thunder stage. And then if we don't turn it over and don't coach the next generation, that's the understage. This is why family businesses fail. Another way to think about this is churn, earn, turn, or burn. Churn, we're churning away. We're trying to make money. We're trying to make money. Then once we figure out what we're doing, then we start to make the money. That's when we earn. And then you hit this crossroads. We either need to start slowly turning this operation over to the next generation in a controlled manner, or the operation is going to burn. Okay? So keep that one in mind as you go. Manage your replacements, just like you do with your HEPA tabs. It takes time, it takes investment, it takes patience, it takes training. We need to do this with the folks coming in and with the folks going out. It needs to be controlled. And folks, start planning for your retirements now. With that in mind, I have run out of words. You're saying, thank God, where's dinner? I want to get out of here. So, folks, what questions? Any questions? How many of you like being called old cows and replacements? That's why I'm leaving here real fast. Any questions at all? Answered everything you wanted to know. Yes, sir.
You have this on video, but just on the slide, and we are there too.
Yes, and my contact information is up there. If you have a question about something or other, email me, and I'll be glad to get back to you as best I can. Yes, sir.
Clarification to make sure. Solo 401k is available to sole practitioners and along with traditional IRA.
Yes, and what you have to watch out for, money in both of them, is the annual earnings cap. If you're above a certain level, it starts to phase out where you can actually participate. Yeah, what I would say is, depending on your income stream, I would at least start with the IRA, and whether it's traditional or Roth. That kind of depends on your age, your goals, your risk category out there.
There's no reason.
It's traditional.
Also called me, I was eligible for any 401k. I had it passed.
Okay.
I started, I was the first person that started.
Yeah, but if you have no employees, it's just you and your spouse, then it's called either an individual 401k or a solo 401k. And it's going to be set up the same types of contribution levels as the SEP. Okay? So that is available out there. Yes, sir.
We live closely to your admonition to fire unproductive family members.
I knew that was going to happen.
You knew where I get part-time job.
Well, I'm not from around here, but I heard Walmart's hiring. You can be the kind of greeters. That's what I always tell my students. When it comes to preparing for retirement, just walk into Walmart. There's two types of greeters. Okay? There's the greeter that says, hi, how are you doing? Would you like to have a card? Have a nice day. And then there's the greeter that says, I have a card. Roll after you get in the chance. Okay? One of them's there, usually senior citizens. One of them working because they want to for that interaction. One of them working because they have to because they didn't plan. But I'm sorry to get you fired on there, but I hope things turn out better for you.
In the slide that you had with how much you need at certain ages, or you have 50,000 a year, you said that was at retirement
Or at the age that you are now?
That was at retirement. So
Okay.
my age range, I've been from $1 to $1.5 million. That's what I should shoot for at roughly age 65, 67, whenever you plan on retirement. Okay? And it's easy to get there if you start early. If you haven't started, then you really got to get on the wagon. There are some catch-up provisions in some of the retirement plans. You put a little bit extra in, but there are some other options out there you might think about. Rather than putting everything back into the farm, I realize with the farm you have a little bit more control over it, you understand a little bit better. You're not going to get the same tax advantages. And again, if you put it back into the farm, well, we have to sell the farm assets to generate the cash during retirement. So you're kind of painting yourself into a corner with that. So I would very strongly recommend at least put 10% of your gross income, your net income into a retirement plan, just to have a little bit of diversification, a little bit of other money in case something bad happens to the farm. And it's going to help with the transition planning as well.
Another question, do you have like a suggestion for like a
Maximum debt load that you should be carrying?
Oh, maximum debt load. For this one, there's a couple different ways to look at that one. You really don't want your debt payment to income ratio for a household to be over 40%. For a business, a farm business, 55% is probably about as high as you can go. So take your total annual principal payments, divide that by your gross income, and you want that to be less than 55%. There are some others out there. We can look at what's called EBITDA, debt, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and interest. Look at that as a percentage of your income, and there's a few others in there, but that's probably what I go for. Okay. You can also look at your debt to asset ratio. Anybody know what a good debt to asset ratio? Or what's the danger zone? Used to be 40%, but we see an awful lot, especially younger farms, they have to borrow a lot more, so we're seeing them a lot higher. Also, we're seeing a lot of leased assets, which really screws up the balance sheet. But I wouldn't want to see your debt to asset ratio be much over 55, 60%, unless you're a relatively young brand new operation. Okay? Yes, sir.
So if I'm 65 now, today, right now.
Congrats. Happy birthday.
No,
Well, okay.
I'm just an example. I'm 65 today, and I should have what, $1.5 million?
65 today, probably $500,000, $7.75 million, would do you pretty well. And again,
Okay, are you factoring in longevity like in actuarial tables? Should I be pulling out X number of dollars per month for living expenses? And how's that work?
my numbers assume a 30-year, 35 or 30-year retirement, and I had a 3% inflation during retirement, which is probably low. You probably make closer to 6 because of healthcare expense. But mine just assuming the equivalent of $50,000 today, each year for 30 years during retirement. As far as how much you should be taking out of your retirement accounts, I used to see folks saying, "Oh, don't take more than 3 or 4% of your principal out." No, there's not really a category there. What we can do is work backwards. If you have this much money today, we can make it last this long. Or if you take this much out, you have this many years.
You know, how much can I take? You say 3 or 4% of the 50,000?
Of the 500,000.
Of the 500,000?
Yes. So that doesn't leave you with a whole lot, does it? But that's, you'll see that very commonly somewhere in 3 to 4 to 5% of your principal balance in the account. I don't like to do it that way. I would rather look at what your living needs actually are, taking into account your lifestyle, your other sources of income, and then try and work backwards and say, okay, your retirement account will last you for roughly this long under these situations.
Yeah, I could be living on 1%. Or I could be living on 3%. I would take.
Exactly.
Whatever I choose.
Exactly. That's your call.
That's
Okay.
my call.
My mom lived on. We looked at her. She just died here early this summer. We looked at her living expenses. I don't know how she did it. She was down probably about $22,000 and she was doing everything she wanted to do. She had all the different hobbies, she was happy as a clam. So you can live relatively cheap, okay? But again, I know other folks that are up there and $1,000 per year.
If I'm 65 and you're saying I might have 30 years to live,
I would plan on
and my
it.
wife
If you
says
get elbows like that, you're gonna have rib problems.
my wife says I have to.
Yeah. But yeah, I would plan on a life expectancy up to about 90, 95 years of age, just because of the way modern technology and genetic related. Yeah. Yes, sir.
We can take care of that.
If you have, you got a branch bought and paid for. Okay.
Love to, are you loving it?
Okay. You're not a very good investor. And you want to sell, you got 1 or 2 kids out of 4 that are interested. And you use selling a portion of the farm to the interested son or daughter as your retirement plan. Explain what do you think of that kind of, instead of doing it this other way.
Okay, so
And-
now,
And the reason that I say this,
do you have a friend? I have a friend. Sorry.
actually, we were at a funeral. And my brother-in-law, he's got a nice big ranch out there. And he's a nice guy. And he got a nice boy there.
Okay.
2 daughters, but this boy is gonna take over his place.
Okay.
He's 65. So I'm just gonna sell the place to Kevin Geyer. That's his son.
Okay.
Tell me the pros and cons and why this type of line of thinking, you know, it's quite different than what you just explained.
Okay.
I know it doesn't keep the Dow Jones Industrial Average, put a bottom in the bond market.
But if you sell the entire farm today, and I hate to be rude, if you have children interested in the farm, okay, so for the average Virginia farm, East Coast farm, choose 1 child. Okay, that's all you can afford to bring because that's $250,000. So choose 1, tell the others, you know what, this child, we're gonna help get started with the farm, and the others will have like insurance proceeds or something to treat them more equitably down the road. If you sell the entire farm today, you're going to have possibly a lot of capital gains exposure. So you might want to think about doing it over time, an installment sale.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so you're going to get that. If it's got a very low cost basis, okay, so he bought the ground for $300 an acre, it's now worth $3,000 an acre. Now then, when it's got a really low tax basis, this is something where the estate planner needs to come in and say, you know what, that is better passing by will than it is passing by sale. Because when passed by will, you get the stepped up basis. Now there's no capital gains at that point. The son or daughter gets the stepped up basis. So something with a very low tax basis, do it by a will of some type, if you possibly can, as long as it's feasible. The other problem there, besides the income tax and your capital gains exposure, are now, if you have a big chunk of money, what are you going to do with it? Are you financially disciplined enough to manage that money? Do you have like professionals you work with to make sure it's managed properly, to get the tax benefits and last whatever that person's life is out there? Cons, you know what, your money's sitting in an account, it's not as much fun as looking out and seeing cows. There's the lifestyle.
But that is a very workable, very workable.
Yes, yes.
Still part of the farm.
Sell part of the farm, and that's, again, be thinking about the other non-farm kids, how we're going to treat them. Again, life insurance is not a bad way to do that. Or at Dept, they get the financial assets, the other child gets the farm assets. They get the money they want, they get the farm, so everything's good there. But this is where you need to talk about it, think it through early. But yes, that is a very workable decision.
And the reason I say this, I've been to several of these financial plans, that doesn't get brought up. Where is that? And why is that? You know, we're family operation.
Yeah, why is that not? It
Why,
depends on-
why when we go to, yeah, I'm not trying to be.
No sales commission.
Trying to be that guy. Yeah. From my standpoint, I presented it my way because people don't want to sell the farm. Okay? So where that's why
They don't want to sell their kids.
No, no, the kids can't afford to buy it. It's a big problem on the East Coast. So that's not as easy to do. And to get people to, they want to
My
make that.
understanding, okay, I'll shut up. My understanding is you can sell it for a discount.
It can't be too much of a discount, otherwise the IRS is going to come in and say that was a gift, and now there's a separate set of taxes that are coming in. So it's got to be in the ballpark as far as, you can't sell it to them for $1 unless it's worth, I think, $5. Yeah, there's plenty of different ways to do it. Selling it is a possibility. Renting it, leasing it, have a long-term lease to own, contract might all work. Yeah, there's several different things you can do, but he's looking at selling the assets, whereas I come
Part of
this.
it, yeah.
Yeah, but, yeah, so that's what I presented from my standpoint. Others are saying because they're trying to sell you things. Well, folks, I think I'm close to, oh, you got another question? Yes, sir.
How to explain how the capital gains works on a contract sale like that? You'd still be exposed to some capital gains, right?
It's going to be spread out over time.
Yes.
Yeah, so if it's.
But every year you pay capital gains tax on what you,
Yes.
that farm payment that you made.
On a portion of that payment, yes.
And then how they do that, then they divide what you got for it by the number of acres, assessed value or whatever?
Yeah, they'll use the selling price minus the tax basis, which is, in most cases, the purchase cost of setting improvements on the land. So that's going to be the tax base. The difference between that is capital gains.
Right.
And then they will prorate that over time. So now you're paying it in a little bit of time rather than like a really impairment up front.
So then who tells you what you owe in capital gains? Your accountant?
That's for your accountant, your tax
Yeah,
accountant,
okay.
going to help you out with that.
All right.
Okay, we have one more question.
Okay. I'm standing for you guys. I'm sorry.
No, I have a friend, no, shoot holes in this. We set up a living trust, I have one other sibling, and we have joint survivorship life insurance to pay the other non-interested sibling off at the death of my parents.
Okay. Sounding good. Okay. I'm not a big fan of living trusts. Sometimes they are sold under spurious reasons. You can probably do it in other ways besides a living trust, but you have to go with it and make sure it's set up properly.
One of the challenges going to be, because my wife and I have 4 children, and I know some of them might, some of them will not be interested in that living trust. And at that point in time, I've always just told Carol that we'll let them deal with it. Is that an okay assumption?
Yeah,
The farm will be gone, I'm sure, but you know, yeah, the farm's been in the family since 1884.
okay, so you're familiar with the place.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, what you do is have that open discussion. Here's how we're setting it up. At my death, this is what's going to happen. At spouse's death, this is what's going to happen at the other. This is why a good insurance agent can help you set up to do the buy-sell type agreement. Very, very wise way to do that, and depending on the situation. And then as far as the trust, yeah, you can look into working with the estate planner to see if it qualifies for generation skipping tax treatment and so on. So you get the.
Well, as long as the property's left in that trust, it's not transferred, correct?
Once it's transferred into the trust, correct.
Right.
Until that trust is broken.
Correct.
Where they sell it off their shares, then the tax will, there'll be a tax trigger at that point.
Okay, I'll tell my friend.
But, but no, you know, thinking it through, so that's, any plan is a good plan, okay? No plan is a bad plan. Well, folks, not the questions, but
I have one.
yeah.
So I may have misinterpreted what you said. So, as I said, I may have misinterpreted this, but just a few minutes ago, you mentioned something about debt to asset ratio being higher now than it has been historically? Is that true, or were you just talking about in young farmers?
With young farmers, it's not uncommon to see it up in the 65 to 75% range, just because agriculture is so darn capital
So
intensive.
historically, would that be high for young farmers?
I would, the 75%, I'd say yes. Okay, what are cow prices right now, heifer prices? They're kind of steep. What's land prices around here? Very steep, so it takes a lot more to get in, relatively than it did in the past. But yeah, I start to cringe when that debt to asset ratio gets much up over 60, 65%. If it's 75%, now then that means most of your income is already guaranteed, or is already taken by your lenders there, your creditors. So you've got to be a top third, top 25% cost control, production manager, marketing manager in order to make this thing pay off.
So that's young people. What about just in general, agriculture in general? Where are we sitting historically, debt to asset? It's nothing like it was back in the 80s.
No, debt to asset ratio across the United States right now is down between 10 and 15% nationwide. It means most farms are paid for. And why is that? Older generations, it's been inherited, or we have a lot of folks retiring from corporate America and buying farms for cash. So the debt to asset ratio is extremely low if you look at the entire ag industry.
So how does that spin out in a macro sense? How does that spin out? If that's, historically, that's on the low end, I would guess.
Yes.
In a macro sense, how does that spin out? I know like back in the 80s, it was very different than then, and we thought we had a land bubble, and we did. Now there's talk about a land bubble. Is a land bubble less likely when you have those kind of equity ratios?
Land, you got to look at the reasons why there might be a land bubble, and is who's bidding the land up? Is it agriculture, or is it non-ag sources? If it's non-ag, then that's going to cause agriculture a lot of problem down the road. Otherwise, having the low debt to asset ratio right now, but we have much more volatility in the marketplace as far as prices, input costs, market prices. We're seeing a pretty significant increase or inflation in farm assets themselves. So maybe some of this low debt to asset ratio is because farmland prices have gone up significantly. So it's a valuation problem rather than an equity or an earned equity situation. So it might be a little bit artificially low from that standpoint. So is that, that's kind of the answer around the issue.
So then, ultimately, are we in a bubble?
Are we in a bubble? I'm going to say not quite yet. I don't think we hit that point just yet. The overall economy, look at the entire U.S. economy, even though the stock market's done relatively well over the last couple of years, the economy is pretty much in the toilet. If you look at economic indicators, and unemployment is low. Why is it low? Even with higher jobless claims every month and less jobs created, because people are voluntarily leaving the workforce. So the numbers you're seeing out there, people are saying, hey, it's low unemployment, we're doing great. No, when people quit looking for jobs because they're frustrated and can't find a job, that's a bad sign. If you look at job creation, it's a little bit slow, very slow. Unemployment claims have been, jobless claims have been higher. The inflation rate, in some areas, is starting to creep up there again. In other areas, it's dropping off. Energy is kind of dropped off right now. So it's a mixed bag. Overall, the economy, it's not strong. I don't see the Fed increasing interest rates dramatically. I don't think they're increasing at all, to be honest with you. They're going to come out with statements today or tomorrow, I think, or relatively soon. Looking at the numbers I see, I don't see the justification. I think it's not a good time for the world. All right, folks. Thank you very much.